Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the blueprint of the modern family. And let me tell you, it's a structure that's constantly being redesigned. We're going to look at how families really work, how they're changing, and what holds them all together, from that first couple all the way to the entire clan.
So, let's start with a basic question. When you picture a family, what comes to mind? Because that image has become incredibly diverse, right? Today you've got adults who are single, cohabiting, married, divorced, remarried, the list goes on. Family isn't just one static picture in a frame anymore. It's more like this dynamic, always shifting collage of relationships.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand the family, you have to see it as this living, breathing system. It is so much more than just parents telling their kids what to do. No, it's a really complex network where every single person is influencing everyone else.
At the heart of this is a big idea called reciprocal socialization. I know, it sounds a little academic, but the concept is super simple. Influence is a two-way street. It doesn't just flow from parent to child. As much as parents are shaping their kids, believe me, those kids are shaping their parents right back.
You know, a perfect way to think about this is like a dance. It's this beautiful analogy. Just think about it. Each person's step is a reaction to their partner's last move. It's all about synchrony. A parent smiles, and the baby smiles back. The baby makes a little noise, and the parent coos right back. That simple back-and-forth rhythm, that's the foundation of their entire connection.
Now, let's build on that dance idea with another key concept: scaffolding. Just like scaffolding on a building, a parent provides just enough support to help a child do something they couldn't quite do on their own. And then, bit by bit, as the child gets better at it, the parent pulls that support away.
Peekaboo is the perfect, everyday example of this. When they're tiny, the parent is doing all the work, right? Covering their face, the big reveal. But pretty soon, the baby starts to get it. They might start pulling at the parent's hands to get the game started. The parent sees this, adjusts, and lets the baby take a more active role. That's scaffolding, right there in your living room. All right, so let's shift gears and look at the very foundation of the family, that adult relationship, and see just how much that has changed. I mean, the way adults decide to partner up, or even choose not to, really sets the stage for everything else that comes after.
Get a load of this number. In 2009, something happened for the very first time in U.S. history. 46% of adults between 25 and 34 had never been married. That number officially became bigger than the 45% who were married. That is a massive, massive shift in our social landscape. And you can see this trend so clearly when you look at the age people get married. I mean, look at this. By 2018, the average age for a first marriage had jumped to almost 28 for women and nearly 30 for men. To put that in perspective, back in 1960, those ages were just 20 and 23. We are definitely waiting a lot longer to tie the knot if we decide to do it at all.
So, if people are getting married later, what actually makes a marriage work? Well, a psychologist named John Gottman completely flipped the script on this. Instead of digging into why marriages fall apart, he spent decades studying what makes them succeed.
And what he found really boils down to these core principles. It's everything from the big stuff, like really truly knowing your partner's inner world, what he calls their love map, to the little, everyday things, like showing fondness and just turning toward each other in small moments instead of away. It's all about building this culture of appreciation and respect so you can tackle problems together and ultimately create a life that has shared meaning.
Okay, so now let's zoom in on what is often the most intense, challenging, and, let's be honest, rewarding phase of family life: raising kids. This is where that two-way dance we talked about gets really complex. So, to make sense of different parenting approaches, it helps to think of them as having two main ingredients. The first is warmth, how accepting and responsive a parent is. The second is control, how much they set rules and expect certain behaviors. How you mix these two ingredients is what creates your unique parenting style. This table lays out the four main styles really clearly. Now pay close attention to the difference between those top two. Authoritative parenting is high in both warmth and control, and that combo generally leads to the best outcomes. But if you keep that high control and you take away the warmth, you get authoritarian parenting, and that's often linked to kids who are unhappy or anxious. And then you have the other styles, indulgent and neglectful, which show the kinds of problems that can pop up when there's not enough structure. So here's the bottom line, the big takeaway from all this research. Time and time again, the authoritative style,
That special blend of warmth, clear boundaries, and respectful communication is connected with kids who are cheerful, self-reliant, and successful. It really seems to be that balance that works best.
But of course, no family's journey is a straight line. There are always twists and turns. So let's talk about how families navigate some major changes, starting with a really big one: divorce.
You know, the common story we hear about divorce is that it's just universally damaging for children. But the actual data tells a more nuanced story. A huge body of research found that while yes, children from divorced families are more likely to have issues, the vast majority, 75%, do not show serious long-term emotional problems.
And this gets to the real heart of the issue. So much research shows that it's often not the divorce itself that causes the most harm. It's the constant, nasty conflict between the parents, whether they end up staying together or not. A peaceful, single-parent home can be so much healthier for a kid than a two-parent home that's just filled with fighting.
All right, for our final piece of the puzzle, let's zoom back out. Because a family isn't just parents and kids, is it? It's this whole web of relationships that stretches across generations, including siblings and, of course, grandparents.
For a lot of us, the longest relationship we'll ever have is with a sibling. And experts point out 3 key things about them. They're full of intense emotional highs and lows. There's this deep, inescapable familiarity. They know you better than anyone. And of course, the simple fact that every single sibling relationship is completely and totally unique.
And that family web is also growing taller as we all live longer. The role of grandparents has become more and more important. By 2014, 1 in 10 children here in the US was living with at least one grandparent, and that number has been climbing pretty dramatically.
There's this beautiful quote from the Roman poet Lucretius that just captures the whole idea of the intergenerational family so perfectly. He said, "We are like runners. They pass on the torch of life." Each generation gets that torch from the one before it and carries it forward, adding their own leg to the race, their own chapter to the family story.
So that brings us to our final question. We've seen that family structures are changing, lifestyles are diversifying, and all the old blueprints are being redrawn. But through all of that change, what stays the same? What are those fundamental human needs for connection, for support, for influence, that really remain at the heart of it all? That's something we're thinking about.